What is the value of 255? Scott.
5,000.
Oh my god. Okay, so we do have people leak coding straight out of the womb. That's unfortunate.
60 is the correct answer.
Okay, I thought I was pretty good at math when I was a kid. So everyone's heard of Devin, the AI software engineer. Don't worry, this is not going to be another Devin AI FUD video. We're not really going to be talking about that. But this is the introduction post, and if you go all the way down, you'll notice something kind of interesting. Their team is small and talent dense. It has 10 Olympiad gold medals, which if you're not familiar with what this is, I'm not super familiar with it either, but it's basically an international competition for like really nerdy kids, mostly like Indians and Asians, and it's like math related and other like technical areas. And so there was this tweet the other day. This is who you're competing against. Yeah. But do they deadlift? Like, do these nerds even go outside and deadlift? And the answer may surprise you. Yes, they do. Over 3 plates, in fact. And I took a look at who posted this. Their name looked kind of familiar to me, Neil Wu. I've heard that somewhere. And then I went to the Leak Code contest tab, and I have done like 5 contests probably in my whole life. I've never really done contests. I'm not a competitive programmer, but if you look at the #1 ranking, it's him. So this guy is not just a leak code monkey. He's not just a competitive programmer. He kind of knows what he's doing. And not only that, look at some of his submissions. So first of all, he's a C++ guy, not surprising. It's a pretty good language for competitive programming, but let's look at the submission here. Best time to buy and sell stock, Elite Code easy. And look at his code. He's actually using good variable names. People always trash competitive programmers and act like they don't know how to do variable naming. It's not the case. They just choose not to because they're trying to go fast. This guy has better variable names than I do. Okay, but what do algorithm skills have to do with anything? Well, take a look at the founder. His name is Scott Wu. And on Codeforces, you can see this guy is insane. And I mean this in the most politically correct way possible. I've mentioned the term sometimes on Leak Code, like this problem is so hard, it's a crackhead problem. And this is the crackhead who I'm talking about, this guy. The problems are designed for this guy. This is who you're competing against. And it's not just him. A lot of their team consists of competitive programmers. So I just want to quickly say, it's well established. You don't have to be good at data structures and algorithms to be a good software engineer. But those who are good at this are usually good at software engineering, or at least have the problem solving skills, or in just like innate talent to be able to become good at this stuff relatively quickly. So I don't mean this to try to discourage anyone who hates algorithms and stuff. And maybe what I'm about to say is going to piss people off. But if you are someone who can't solve a reasonable leak code medium, even after like hundreds of hours of practice, I think that does say something. I'm not saying you can't be a good developer or even an exceptional one, but it kind of is an indicator of something. I mean, people forget, but if you've been grinding like recently hundreds of hours, you kind of should be improving. And if you reach a ceiling relatively quickly, it kind of says something. I mean, it doesn't mean you're stupid, but maybe the way you're approaching things is not good. And that itself says something about you. Why are you approaching things in a very bad way? How are you doing something for so long, yet you're not improving? There's also this video, Meet Math Prodigy behind Devin. Let's give this a sniff.
Later. The mastermind behind Devin is not some seasoned Silicon Valley veteran, but it's actually Math Prodigy.
What is the value of 255? Scott.
5,000.
Oh my god.
5,000 is the correct answer.
That's right. This kid, Scott Wu, started coding at the age of 9 and went on to win whooping.
Wait a minute. Okay, I have to say it. I'm really sorry to pause the video. Okay, first of all, okay, this is not him. I don't think Leak Code was around when that guy was a kid. So they probably just found another random Asian kid solving a Leak Code problem. That's kind of hilarious. Okay, ignoring that. But
Scott Wu.
I like the way they make this look like a certain website's logo. I just had to mention that, sorry.
Started coding at the age of 9 and went on to win whooping 3 golden medals.
Okay. Oh my lord.
at the International Olympiad in
Okay, so we do have people leak coding straight out of the womb. That's unfortunate, competition-wise. So,
informatics. Basically, the coding Olympics.
And the next question is, the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 can be arranged to... Scott.
60.
60 is the correct answer.
okay, I finished watching the video, but I wanted to go back and quickly explain this problem. We're given 5 digits. The numbers themselves actually don't matter, but they're kind of wondering how many permutations there are with these 5 numbers. And so if you know about permutations, there's 5 slots here. We have 5 choices for this number. When we have these many numbers, if we pick one of them, then we only have 4 choices here, then 3 choices here, 2, 1, etc. So if you multiply this out, which he probably did in his head, which he probably already memorized, you know that that's 120. Now, the rest of the question asks how many permutations there are such that the number 1 is to the left of number 2. Now, like I said, the individual number itself doesn't matter. They could have said how many times 3 is to the left of 4. This is just part of the permutation. If I were to go through all of these permutations, half of them will have 1 on the left of 2, and half of them will have 2 on the left of 1, just because it's kind of symmetrical, right? Like when we have 5 choices here, well, some of the time we're going to pick 1, some of the time we're going to pick 2. So basically you take this divided by 2 and then it's 60. That said, it's super impressive that he knew it that quickly as like, what, an 8-year-old or something? Okay, back to the video. Okay, I thought I was pretty good at math when I was a kid, at least like the stuff they taught me in my elementary school, like math club, but I was like a poor kid, so I didn't know that like these competitions existed and my parents didn't know anything about them. So this is definitely a whole new world. And I always say, like, don't underestimate the importance of math when it comes to algorithms and data structures. And this video is really proving me right.
60 is the correct answer, which means that Scott...
And the guy didn't even finish saying the question and he knew the answer. That is just insane.
4 and 5 can be arranged to... Scott.
60.
60 is the correct answer, which means that Scott has won that...
And guess what? He, along with 2 other young geniuses, just launched a whole new company, Cognition Labs, and built Devin, the AI that can code like nobody's business. They built it in 5 months, incorporated as recently as 2 months ago, and raised 21 million Series A, led by Founders Fund. Even if you don't know Founders Fund, you probably have heard of PayPal. That's right, PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel is running Founders Fund.
It costs $100,000 to start a computer software company. It costs you $1 billion to get a new drug approved through the FDA, and therefore it's not surprising that we live in a world where people start more video game companies and they don't actually work on drugs that would save people's lives.
And
Peter Thiel is a really interesting guy. I know he's kind of controversial. The impression I always get of him is he always seems like he's mad about something, but you're not quite sure what it is. But that said, he's really smart. He has some really like interesting ideas. He had some bad ideas as well, but interesting
On
guy.
drugs that would save people's lives.
And they invest in technology that they deem to have a potential to disrupt industries
successful.
at scale. Now, some of you might be thinking, hold on, Goda, chill. Coding is a creative field. Can an AI really replace programmers? That's a great question, and we will definitely dive into the whole debate later. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate these overachievers making their parents proud. The whole Cognition Lab team consists of 10 people. That's right. And they are collectively holding not 3, not 5, but 10 golden medals in the International Olympiad of Informatics. And I think for every developer who is criticizing the version 1 of Devin, I would really love to see them compete against Wu brothers in coding.
I believe that your older brother Neil won the Math Downs National
Okay, I didn't know they were actually brothers. I just thought their last name being the same was a coincidence. That does make sense that they're related.
competition several years ago.
Yes.
Or build something like Devin in 5 months.
Hey guys, today I'm going to show you an AI training an AI.
But to be fair to software developers, big tech companies with millions in resources couldn't pull this off either, but a bunch of 20-year-olds did. How did we achieve that? This is really a wake-up call for anybody who has deemed that innovation can only happen at the huge corporate boardroom.
I don't know a lot about it. I wonder how much of it is related to AI, because the benchmarks say that this is more effective at software engineering tasks than the other LLMs. I wonder if that's because Devin just it just puts a few things together, like it has its own capabilities to like do research, like go on Google, browse Stack Overflow, and run code and execute code, and they just put those pieces together more cohesively than GPT, because I don't think they were, obviously in a short amount of time, they didn't create their own complex LLM. I'm pretty sure they're using one of the existing LLMs. maybe they're going to finish talking about that in this video.
It proves that even if Devin replaces software engineers, fundamental skills like understanding math or science is going to set you apart in the age of AI.
I always say math knowledge, super underrated. I've been wanting to make some math videos for a while now, and I've just been too busy to do that.
Pattern shown continues. What is the letter in the 2010th position?
Wait. Let's try to figure this out. Let's try to math, let E, math, let E. Okay, this is, 2010th position. Okay, this is a leak code problem, and I could probably figure it out. Let me actually try to figure it out. So the length of this substring is 8, and they just keep repeating the substring 8 times. So you basically take 2010, divide it by 8, or mod it by 8. So off the top of my head, that's going to be 2008, and then we'll have a remainder of 2. And so the second letter in this sequence is A. So that's my guess. But like, obviously I've done leak code. Like I pretty much have solved this problem before, probably. This guy's a little kid.
2010th position. Scott.
A.
Look at this guy. Oh my God.
Is the correct answer.
Of course, your best bet in being competitive is being a child prodigy or using AI to help you code.
We were playing around with whether or not Devin could start a side hustle on Upwork. You give the task to Devin and ask Devin to figure it out.
But suppose you're not math genius, but you still want to be more like Scott.
I think you probably don't even need that, but I just put it there to be 100% sure, in case my answer is more precise enough. And that's a submit.
And maybe not necessarily like Devin.
I ended up barely winning. Yeah, you can see me getting excited.
There's only 2 types of companies in this world, Morgan. Those who are great at AI and everybody else.
Hey, isn't that the guy who put radio on the internet? The 3 Commas Club or
And
something?
those who are great at AI and everybody else. If you don't know AI, you are going to fail.
So how about that weather?
I don't know.
But let's not get carried away by the hype.
If you don't know anything about AI, you're going to fail. I don't think this guy knows a lot about AI either. I really don't.
And here's where things get interesting, and I don't hear many people talk about it. The reality is that these math geniuses are not working just to replace software engineers. The real mission they're onto is to solve the world's biggest problems and build AI that can reason. And to be honest, I'd like this more than just say we want to build AGI, because no one really agrees what AGI means, but we all understand what ability to reason means.
Explain to me your reasoning. I can say, you think this thing, why? And you can explain. First,
Oh my God. I feel like I've made like 10 videos about this lately where like thought process matters, right? Like reasoning matters. Don't like memorize stuff. Maybe I'm just going on an ego trip or something, but I feel like everything in this video is just reinforcing everything that I already believe.
this, then there's this conclusion, then that one, and then there's this. And I can decide if that sounds reasonable to me or not.
So let's talk about reasoning and how robotics play a huge role in that. And this
And just for people who aren't familiar with math, math is literally the subject where reasoning and justifying what you do is super important, because in a lot of fields of science, even physics, you do need to run experiments to confirm theories about physics. But when it comes to math, you don't really need experiments. You can just do formal proofs, like math proofs. And they're super difficult, but like once you have that proof, nobody can like poke a hole in it. No one can say, hey, that's wrong. No, bro, I have the damn proof right here. Here's my 500-page proof about why exactly this thing works.
is what most of the people completely ignore. Reasoning abilities is one of the biggest challenges in AI. While Devin's performance on a real-world software engineering is undeniably impressive, we are nowhere near 100% correctly resolved issues end-to-end, unsupervised or without assistance. But that doesn't mean we won't get there. The question becomes how, and if present-day techniques, how we are training AI on text data or multimodality, are the way to do it.
Personally, I believe that there is a plateau somewhere with the current methodology. I'm not quite convinced, and I'm just talking out of my ass, but I'm not quite convinced that like just adding computational power, which is pretty much what they're doing at this point. I mean, they're making little architectural changes to the LLMs and how they're training them and stuff, but they're not making massive changes. So I think there's a plateau. I think for the amount of compute, I think the Meta AI chief has said something like, with all this compute power, LLMs are still not even smarter than cats in general like reasoning and stuff. And the second thing, people always say, well, yeah, these things aren't going to replace us, but they're going to make us so efficient that we won't need as many software engineers anymore. It's possible, but hasn't there been a lot of tools that have made us more efficient? Cloud computing is pretty recent, and it's improved developer productivity massively. It's also created problems, right? Like now, instead of, doing this thing, now everybody has to learn about the cloud. Well, instead of, with LLMs, it's going to solve a lot of problems, but now real engineers are going to have to go in and fix all the crap stuff that the LLMs create in some cases. At least that's just me talking out of my ass. I don't know.
100% reasoning. We need AI systems that can interact with the physical world through physical embodiment, such as robots.
The proper way to train a system is to first have it learn good representations of the world and world models from mostly observation, maybe a little bit of interactions.
Hey, Bolly, we're going to bed now.
Okay. Big data companies, AI researchers, and big tech all know that and have been working on that for years.
It's a car company trading at a ridiculous price. He said, no, you're the joke. You don't understand what Tesla does. I work there. It's not a car company. It's a data company.
The truth is we are running out of human-generated data.
True, but with all that data, we still don't have self-driving cars yet, do we? I mean, self-driving cars, very ambiguous problem, because even if it works 99% of the time, when it doesn't, it's going to kill somebody, right? So with software engineer, if I'm writing software for a healthcare company or something super important, 99% of the time it's going to work. But when it doesn't, hey, just killed somebody. People don't want to live with that. And yeah, humans kill people too, but Elon has been saying, hey, self-driving, full self-driving, 2022, 2023, okay, 2024, okay, maybe next year. When's it going to actually happen? Nobody really knows.
And it's not sufficient enough. Embodied AI aims to create intelligent agents capable of navigating and understanding the complexities of the real world.
So this type of deliberate planning, which uses your internal world model, that's System 2. This is what LLMs currently cannot do.
Daniel Kahneman, author, psychologist, and economist, introduced us to System 1 and System 2 thinking, which earned him a Nobel Prize in economic sciences. And these two heroes of the way we think could be described.
So there's a bit of an analogy between the way like computers learn versus how people learn. And again, me just kind of rambling, there's a fundamental difference between computers and like human brains or just living creatures in general. Like a brain is very different from a computer. It's similar, but very different. Like the way we memorize things is very different from a computer, right? We're not memorizing with little bits. It's not literally stored in the same way. The way we see things, where we see pictures, is very different from a computer. Like a computer could see every single one of these pixels on my screen at the exact same time. But as humans, we have peripheral vision, right? I said that wrong, but when I'm looking at the screen, if I'm focusing on this eye over here, I can't literally see the other eye, believe it or not. You can't really focus on two eyes at the same time. Like human brains work differently. Even if I'm seeing all of these pixels right now, internally, my brain isn't processing. It's not focusing on every single one of these. It's not able to do that.
Like this. System 1 is like a flash, super fast, always ready to act and react. It helps you with easy tasks without much thinking about it. For example, driving a car, or if I say banana, you think yellow. System 2 of your brain is slower. It's like Wonder Woman, very wise and taking her time to analyze and understand how to protect the world best. Or another example is, if I ask you a complicated math question, you will need more time to think about this. Present-day large language models are like System 1 on steroids. And Devin might be a...
Yeah, I think this is fair. And I think what this is getting at is like a computer can do a search query very, very quickly. It can memorize information and look it up very, very quickly. It's like a distributed systems problem, right? And with machine learning, it can kind of do that on large sets of data, like an LLM. That's what it's doing. It can even put ideas together, but it's really not doing a lot of original thinking the way a brain can, the way a human brain can. And part of like the power, people don't realize, like LLMs have been trained for a long time on like thousands of years or probably hundreds of years of data, like text data, but humans have evolved over millions, I think billions of years, right? Like before we were human, we were like monkeys or whatever, right? So that's like all that historical, those years of evolution are baked into the brain. We have capabilities to reason like in very interesting ways, I think.
Master of System 1 coding, the fast, the efficient, and not always very creative. But what about System 2 coding, the kind that requires deep understanding of all the parties involved, problem solving, or a sprinkle of human ingenuity? Will Devin be able to do that? And the better question is, when? That's now a billion-dollar question. And to answer that, we need to keep a close eye on the developments in embodied.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. And the conclusion is nobody knows. That's the fun part. That's the scary part. Nobody knows. Not one damn person. You can hear predictions from experts that completely disagree. And, you know, Elon says LLMs, AI is going to be smarter than people within 5 years. He's been saying a lot of things that have been completely wrong historically. He makes a lot of predictions. He might be right this time. He might be wrong. Who knows?